lower klipa down here, the klipa above becomes suppressed also, and God's glory becomes revealed, and it has that little thing that we do over here has incredible impact above, which is also something to think about. And it gives us a little motivation to do the right thing and to suppress ourselves when we realize what little me is causing above. Yeah.
I would think, this whole area though is very tricky, and that a person really needs to know themselves and have some practice with the Shula, because it's, life is so complex, and there's a lot of things that a person might feel a natural tendency that they want to do, they enjoy doing, and if they're honest with themselves, they think, well, maybe it's a good thing if it really brings me closer to Hashem, like even if it's breakfast, or taking a walk, or having a chat with a friend, or having downtime. A lot of things that are enjoyable that we have a tendency to do. So those might not be the right areas to choose or to stop yet. And a person could get confused because they might think, well, I really enjoy this, so maybe this is the area I should choose. This is something that's easy for me to delay. But maybe that's exactly a wrong thing for them to choose, because that's actually bringing them closer to Hashem. So I think it's very tricky.
I agree. And having a mashpia is obviously vital, but it's important also who the mashpia is going to be. It has to be someone, that Rebbe once spoke about in the early years, in the 50s. So there was a big issue then about microphones on Shabbos. Today, microphones on Shabbos is forbidden, but it wasn't so obvious at that time, and there were different opinions about it. If the microphone is left on from before Shabbos, so maybe it isn't forbidden. Maybe this type of microphone or that type of microphone. And there were actually Orthodox rabbis who permitted it. Some Orthodox rabbis, and there's also some electricians, people understood it, who permitted it. And basically, what the Rebbe said at that time, what the Rebbe came out very, very strongly against saying that it's forbidden, and probably forbidden in Torah. And what the Rebbe, when I remember what the Rebbe said then, letter or said it to someone, the Rebbe says that there are some people who know halacha and they don't know electricity. There's some people who know electricity and they don't know halacha. I know both electricity and halacha because the Rebbe studied engineering, so I'm qualified to tell you, and I'm telling you that this is 100% forbidden. And in the same vein over here, the mashpia that you choose has to have both worlds in a way. Some people are very, especially today, some of the people who are out there who are mashpiyim are very 21st century and pop psychology, and they know, in addition, or especially they've read all the books out there and they know what's important for a person. And in terms of their knowledge of Chassidus and the Rebbe, it's more peripheral and more what they call makif. So I learned a few sikhs, a few mamarim also, but it's not really a deep understanding of that. It's not a mashpia. At the same time, to find a mashpia whose head is in the clouds and knows the mamarim and the Tanya and just compare it to what it says without a keen understanding of human life and reality is also not what you want. You need someone to find with a mix, which isn't usually easy to find, but if you find it, that's a real blessing. So here we have the principle, which is in many places in Chassidus, which is called Dam Ma Lamayla B'Mcha. You have in Pirkei Avos, know what is above you, and on this the Zitcher Maggid says, Dam Ma Lamayla, know that which is above B'Mcha all comes from you. That whatever happens in the upper world is all a reflection of us. In fact, we say in Tehillim, we say in davening also, Hashem Tzilcha, God is your shade. So in a literal sense, what does that mean? That that God is like the tree that offers you shade. In other words, that protects you. I think it's a Baal Shem Tov, or maybe it's also the Maggid says here also. That what does it mean that God is your shade? Just like if you're standing and you pick up your hand, and if there's shade, you move your hand, the shade moves. The way you move, God moves. God is our shade means That literally God responds to us, and however we behave, God responds in kind. And this is a basic Kabbalistic idea that it's very interesting that although we know that the flow comes, there's what's called a Seder Hishtalshelus, which means there's a chain of worlds, and the flow of divine energy comes down, right? So usually when there's a flow that comes downwards, who controls the flow? Where the source, the flow is controlled at the source, and here is it's a very interesting dynamic. The flow flows from above to us, and here we are down here with the levers, and we're controlling exactly what flows and how it flows, which is fascinating. We're the recipients, but we are the ones at the controls. And how do we control it? When we behave, that's how it's. For example, very simple. The famous saying: you do another person a favor, boom, that's the lever. Hashem does you a favor. Hashem is our shade means that reciprocating. It's called midah keneged midah, but actually it's all built-in system to the way God created the world, and God created the whole system is that everything responds to our touch. So just as, and that's why the human being, by the way, is a microcosm of everything, so that everything above is controlled by everything within us. Everything that there is above is below, because everything has to be what's called kigavna. We say in the Friday night, but there's another. Kigavna means everything is identical. Everything is mirror images. We're mirror images of above and above and above. Everything's higher and holier, but it's mirror images. So every time we push a certain button in our little area, we activate the corresponding thing above. That's why we know, like, God expresses himself in 10 sefirot, right? In 10 spheres, in 10 different ways. Wisdom, understanding, kindness, etc. And we're mirror images. Why? Because that's how we activate God's attributes. That's why God created us in that way. And same thing over here. Within every single one of us, there is the godly, and then there is the klipa, right? The godly soul and the nefesh habahamis. The same thing is above. Just like it is within the human being, there's a spiritual, larger, cosmic powers of klipa versus God and God's and the godly energy. Says the Alter Rebbe, that's what he's saying over here. That's what the Zohar is saying. When I suppress my klipa, what happens? The klipa above is suppressed. That's the way it works. When the klipa above is suppressed, what does that mean? The word klipa means a shell. We're uncovering and we're revealing godliness.